What the heck?
Such a cool robot voice.
Thank you, Craig.
All right,
Thanks, Craig.
everybody, welcome back to. Someone else take over. I got to cough for a sec.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Hi, welcome to our bad podcast. Thanks for coming.
Can we
Yeah.
just change our podcast name to Bad Podcast? I kind of like that.
Sure, that'd be funny.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
The coldest takes on gaming.
The coldest takes on. Hey, to be fair, we wanted to record a lot sooner, but then I got
Everyone
COVID
got
over
COVID.
Christmas. Jared was out of town. We had Thanksgiving, and yeah, there was all kinds of stuff going on. We've been sick, so
Finals.
we're recording on Discord right now.
Yeah.
And I guess shout out to this free bot Craig that lets us record things, and it's very appropriate. That is Craig, because Craig the Brood arrived in tandem with the Master Chief, and it's been a
Correct.
glorious couple of months.
Oh yeah.
Couple is a stretch.
It's been
in
a
2 days,
month
it'll
and a
be
half.
2 months since the multiplayer launched. And the last time we posted, fun fact, because we posted the last video the day that they announced that.
It's true. I forgot.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm really glad I listened to our last podcast last week when I was thinking about recording a new one.
That's funny. I forgot about that.
So
Anyways,
if you haven't guessed it, that's our first topic for today. We want to talk about Halo Infinite and everything about it.
Where do we even begin with Halo Infinite?
probably multiplayer since that launched first.
I think
Okay,
so.
all right,
and
let's
I think
talk
there's
about
less
the launch.
to say.
Jared, you were working, right? So you didn't see that live stream, but Tanner, you watched that, right?
What live stream?
When they announced the 20th anniversary Xbox live
Oh,
stream,
yes,
they announced they were launching Halo Infinite that day.
Yeah, that was amazing.
I cried.
Yeah, that was cool. That was a very, very welcome surprise.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was kind of a little ruined by the rumors, but I also was like, I was so excited I didn't even care.
That was cool. It was funny that The Rock was in it. That was super random. Remember that?
That's because The Rock announced the original Xbox with
Yeah, I know.
Bill
But I
Gates.
was like, dude, you're Dwayne Johnson, man. You should have better stuff to do than show up at
And he
this.
was there to advertise Red Notice, which was kind of a stupid movie, by the way.
That's why he was there. I haven't seen it. I think they just greenlit 2 sequels, though.
Wow.
Netflix, man, I don't understand their business model.
Yeah.
Oh, not one bit.
Anyways, yeah, so that was awesome. And then I think I went over to your house that day, didn't I?
Yeah, you showed up after work and we swapped out playing
Yep.
every other round.
Yeah.
And then I joined you guys later, right? Because, yes, I was still working while it was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember? Okay. I need to talk about this because still, every time I fire up Halo Infinite, I sit there and I just listen to that menu music.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good. So good. Okay,
Yeah.
so multiplayer. I don't even know how to
Sum up the experience.
I've played a ton of Halo's multiplayer since the game came out. And I'm pretty decent at it at this point now, if I
Yeah.
say so myself.
You're definitely the best out of the 3 of us.
I think we fare well. I mean, Scott and I kind of switched every other game. But,
Yeah.
Yeah, when it's
I mean,
1:30 in the
spent
morning,
way
though,
more
and I'm
time
the only
in it,
one
though.
consistently going positive, I think it's safe to say.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying that there are several games where I've totally whooped and you
That's
went
true.
just barely positive some of those. So
Yes.
I just mean, I think
There
on
was, one
average, I
game
think
I
you're going to
didn't.
be better. But here's the other thing: you've sunk far more hours into it than I have.
So much of it. It's so fun.
Because it is
Yeah.
fun and I enjoy it, but I've played it when it first came out and I was doing it on my own at first, and I was like, this is fun, but honestly, 90% of the fun for it is playing with people for me.
Oh, it absolutely is far more fun to play it with somebody else than on my own. I completely agree. But
yeah.
man,
So that's contributed to my habits. Is it's usually oh, Scott's on, we'll play Infinite together.
You guys
but
I'm gonna play Halo and recording this.
Maybe.
Okay. Anyway, sorry. We'll get there.
I'm actually kind of down, but we'll see.
Anyways, yeah, I think my initial impressions of multiplayer, I mean, it's not a new take. A lot of people have been saying this, but it feels the most like Halo 3
Yep.
than any of the Halos since then. I think it's been the best multiplayer
Yeah.
since that one. Um,
I think
and
so, and I think it like not only is it the most like Halo 3, but like there was some soupiness to Halo 3 that's just like not there. Having on like a newer
define
engine,
soupiness.
you know what I mean? Like
I have no idea what you
so
mean.
some of the great
Basically,
things
it's
that came
benefiting from
after.
being a brand new game and being far more
Exactly.
responsive and just being
Exactly.
modern.
The ability that like sprint is more integrated into gameplay, so it can be more fast paced, and like the fact that like you can just like the mobility feels cleaner, and yes, you're in a newer engine, so it feels better. Like Halo 3 was fun to play, but at the end of the day, it
It
did
still
often
is.
feel like whoever
Yeah.
feels it's still alive. It feels like a lot of times when I was playing it, like, oh, whoever shot first is sometimes going to win. But like this just integrates so much more into the actual atmosphere that I think it makes it more of a skill based game. Even though it was like Halo 3 is more skill based than Call of Duty, like 110%. But like
I feel I need one there. Halo 3 is
I don't
actually
know.
technically dead today because the servers shut down today.
they
Yeah,
shut down
that's true.
today.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
Oh,
Xbox 360 Halo 3 servers officially shut down today.
rip.
yeah. There's actually this really like wholesome thing going on. I saw a thing about it on my
People
Facebook
were hanging
feed.
out and just
People
partying
were
together.
people were trying to get each other all the achievements because there's a ton of multiplayer achievements in that. So they're like, all right, if
Oh,
you don't have it, then let's give you that Killionaire or whatever.
That's cool.
And it's like
That's
that's
really
pretty
cool.
sweet,
such a
actually.
good community.
Yeah. Anyways, it's very fun. Yes, it's a very, very fun multiplayer. The weapons are so much better than they've been in any of the Halos 343's done.
Can we talk
Um,
about the best battle rifle ever in Halo?
Oh yeah.
it's pretty good.
It's
It's crunchy.
I
I like it.
stand by the best battle rifle in Halo.
I think so.
Like,
Yeah,
oh,
Like even
yeah.
just the
All the gun.
simplicity of like in all of the past games, like switching over to the left trigger being aimed down sights. Like the first time that happened was since 343 took over, but their battle rifle has always been a little bit lackluster. Like it hasn't like held up to that. I know this is super like nitty-gritty, but like I feel really good using the battle rifle because it feels like the Halo 2 power, but like that newer,
it's got
cleaner feel of use, you know?
punchiness to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I will say there were some things that I didn't like at first. Like I really didn't like that headshot damage doesn't count until shields are down.
They fixed that, by the way. Like
Did they?
Oh,
this
did they?
week. Yeah, I think it
Like they
was this
changed
week or
that?
last week in the patch they changed it.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
very slight.
I was about
It's
to say how much.
typically
Yeah.
it's like one more shot basis. I think it's like a per bullet basis on the battle rifle, but on guns like the plasma pistol, the assault rifle, like you do get headshot multipliers on them now.
Okay. See, that's what I guess at first I didn't like it, but the more I thought about it, the more I was like, that actually is a really good equalizer
Oh,
because if I am running at somebody with a battle rifle and I have an assault rifle, it gives you more of a chance, I guess.
no, I get that,
That
and I'm
might
glad
be
that it's slight.
unshielded enemies now that I'm thinking about it. I'll have to look that up.
I was just trying
Um,
to Google it while we were talking about it to see if I could find the nitty gritty numbers
yeah, I
for
think
it.
the
But
maps are great too. Um,
oh yeah, I only have one map that I have a problem with. But
yeah, and I
Is it the
do,
launch site one?
yeah, that
I
one.
hate that
yeah,
I
map.
that
just
one's
I
not
literally
great.
don't think I've ever had a good game on that map. Like it's just
That
so
map,
big.
I really enjoy that map for one flag capture the flag. It's clearly was built around one flag capture the flag,
Which
and every
I've
other game
never
on it, I
gotten to
hate.
do because
I've
every
never
time
done
we
that
play
once.
that together, like literally, it's like, oh, this is the playlist that you can play oddball and this and this and this and this, and all I get is Slayer all night long.
Yeah,
That
So
well,
would
we
be a
can talk
decent
about that
oddball
another
map
time.
too,
But
actually.
it was a good. We won with Seth on that map with Oddball. Remember that?
let's say something.
Seth being our youngest brother, yeah, who
Love you, bud.
consistently gets like maybe 2 kills and 12 deaths.
Which is pretty
I was
good.
proud of him when he got 4 kills in a game. So
Yeah, I remember that. He almost went positive one time. It was pretty exciting. I still
And
like playing with him, but at any
I like
rate,
playing with him for spending time with my brother, not for winning games.
that's why we won that game. Actually, was because it was oddball, and he held the ball for like 95%
Yeah,
of it.
we just like
He's not
them
gonna hit
stand
it
here,
when
and then we
anyways.
all just
Hard
okay. Oh man, all right. I guess let's just okay. I could talk about Halo Infinite for hours, but there's really nothing else we can add. I just have to throw out there the sandbox is incredibly balanced, and I am so impressed. Like this is might be one of the most refined sandboxes I've ever played in any game. Because every single like weapon, piece of equipment, grenade types, like they all have their place and their usefulnesses, and they all have multiple counters to what makes them strong in other things if you know how to use them. Like it's just such a
Yeah.
like a spider
very
web
rewarding.
of balancing that is somehow like supports the weight of the gameplay. It's incredible to me. I
Yeah,
don't
and one thing I was really worried about too, starting the multiplayer, was I was like, gosh, I can't wait for the campaign to be out so I can figure out how to use this equipment like effectively. And yes,
yeah.
like instantly, as soon as I played through the whole campaign, I immediately was seeing myself do way better in multiplayer, having tested the weapons, used the grapple shot to figure out how it worked, because it works very differently than grapple shots we've used in other games. So like it just once you had the sandbox and campaign to play around with, like yeah, it's totally refined. I was worried at first, but not anymore. Like it's great.
Yeah.
Which if you have anything else you want to say about multiplayer, Tanner, pipe up now. But that's a good transition to talking
I
about
think so.
I guess I think the only other thing I would say would be that thank goodness that they stopped trying to be Call of Duty.
Oh yeah.
And
oh
I I mean, who would have thunk that they would have won out last year? But
right.
nobody's talking about Call of Duty Vanguard, and the only
Microsoft
Nobody's talking
had
about
like
what?
Battlefield. Nobody's talking about Call of Duty, and
What?
the only people that are talking about
Battlefield
Battlefield
are talking about how they ruined
are
it.
talking about how horrible it is.
Oh, bad.
They
I
actually,
thought
the mods on the Reddit page for Battlefield 2042 said that they were considering shutting down the page for like 2 weeks because all it was filled with was just negativity. And
well,
I just think that's the funniest thing in the entire world.
I thought you were gonna say that the only people talking about Call of Duty Vanguard right now are people that are being paid to talk about it.
Well, that's probably true too.
That's
Yeah.
also true.
Oh,
So.
you got your COD bros that are out there that think they're real gamers because they play COD and FIFA every single year. But no,
Yeah.
Halo's multiplayer. Oof, the Return
Halo
of the
won
King
last year.
hasn't
Halo,
happened, and
just
Halo
like
is still
back when.
dominating like what I play right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still got a big player base.
Okay. Well, I think that's a great segue to talk about the campaign now.
Let's just because we have a lot of other topics we want to talk to. Let's just maybe not get into the nitty gritty of the story stuff like we've talked about on our own because I don't really care that much. I want to talk about more the transition to open world and what we think about that, unless you guys have any differing opinions or super hot takes you want to throw in about the
Um,
story.
I talked to
I
Tanner
like
about this a little bit. There's like one thing about the story that I was like, I wish that had been a little different. And it had to do with like the open, and it does have to do with the open world. So I guess it's kind of like it'll tie us to it. Um, really, the one complaint I had about the game when I first played through it, besides like I wish it was longer because it was so fun. Not like a fake complaint. That's a compliment. I mean, like the one complaint that I actually had was like you had this really nice flow between the open world and the campaign missions for pretty much the entire time. And then there's a point you hit where it's like you're committed till the end of the story. And usually when you're in an
it
open
wasn't very
world
clear
game,
about that.
yeah, exactly, it wasn't clear. Usually in open world games, it's like, oh, you're starting the portion where you're going to take this to the end of the game. You'll have access
Yeah.
to the open world afterwards, but if you want to grab your upgrades and crap, do it now. And it just didn't have
Yeah.
any clear indicator of that whatsoever. It was
That's
like,
true.
I was so used to like, oh, let me hop down into the, the like the drill place, right? I'll hop down there really quickly and I'm sure I'm going to surface. Like it's not going to be a big deal. I can hop
Yeah.
back to the open world after. But this was
That is a
like
very easy fix, though. I mean,
I
I'm
think it
sure when
is, but
when they add I wouldn't be surprised if when they add co-op to the campaign, they also just add a little message beforehand saying, "Hey, if you start this mission, you're locked in until you beat the campaign."
And that's
So
fine. I'm okay if they do that. That was just my
that's
one
an easy
complaint
fix.
playing through. Now, I will say this. I'm like a completionist where I made sure that I had already... At that point, I was like, I've unlocked the whole map. I'm going to get everything before I continue. So I wasn't like under upgraded or anything. I had everything at that point pretty much, except for like intel stuff. But like for
Yeah.
some people, I can understand that they might have been, especially if they're playing through on like heroic on their first time, and maybe it was their first time playing Halo since Halo 3 came out or something. Like I can understand how that would have been a little frustrating to be like, I wasn't ready to do this. Like I could have needed that extra shield upgrade or whatever before fighting those
Dude,
freaking
shield
red
upgrades were like the
hunters.
first thing I went for.
Really?
Yeah, before I upgraded
Yeah,
the
that was what I
grapple
did
shot,
before
before I
I
No.
upgraded anything, I was like, shields. I want to be able to just tank as
Yep.
much damage as possible.
Had
See,
the
I
exact
thought to
same thing.
myself, I want to be able to mess around. I got the grapple shot first, all of it, and then I went for the shield. But yeah,
I got
See, it
most
wasn't
of the
until I
grapple
got
shot.
the recharge time upgrade for the grapple shot that I was like, I should have done it sooner. Because the shocky upgrades and stuff, like they're fun, and that like anime punch. Can we just
Super
talk about
melee.
that for a sec? That Master Chief, you can anime punch like anything. Once you
Oh,
get
yeah.
that up,
I actually never used that upgrade.
Oh,
it's crazy good.
it's
I
so
actually really
useful,
like it. But
I'll check it
especially
out.
once you
the
fully
recharge
upgrade
time
it.
was the one that I was like, this is what makes the game, having that like 2.5 second cooldown.
Yep, that's what makes you Spider-Man. It makes it really, really great.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, that's my one complaint about the story and how things played out. But like, let's talk about open world in general.
Well, okay, hold on now. I have a comment about the story.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll make it shorter though, and it's just that I think that this was the first Halo campaign that Bungie has done that has
Before 3 has
captured.
done.
That's what I meant. Yeah, since Bungie left, that actually captured what made people like Halo campaigns, which is the feeling that you're like humanity's last hope and
Yeah,
you're a hero.
I
And
agree.
I think adding other Spartans specifically in Halo 4 really, really took away from that. Um,
And then making all the Spartans weak.
so having all of them dead in this one, except for you, was like you're back where you were at the beginning of Halo 1, which, hot take, I think had the best story. But there you go. So I thought that was great. Also, I might like new Cortana more than old Cortana.
I
There's
don't know. I
something.
definitively say I like her more, but I like her.
I like her a lot.
Yeah. I think
I'll
That's
say.
all I got.
they need to fix her teeth, but besides that,
Oh my gosh!
What's wrong with her
She's
teeth?
a video
You
game.
haven't
She's not a
noticed her
waifu.
teeth?
What?
I did. I've
Wait,
seen the
hold on.
memes. Everybody complaining
Pull
on
it
the
up.
internet that the weapon
Hold
isn't
on.
hot enough to be like the Cortana replacement. Like,
Get a girlfriend.
yeah, good grief. I don't even have a girlfriend and I'm not complaining about it. So I don't know what kind of problem you
That's true.
have, but figure your crap out, man.
Yeah.
I was gonna say my only comment on the story I want to make, and this is super vague because I don't want to get into the details of it, because I genuinely think Halo Infinite's campaign is fun enough and interesting enough that it should be experienced as spoiler free as possible.
Oh.
Because like the moments of just these giant structures and things, like there's some really cool moments of discovery. I will say, because Halo 5's campaign was a steaming hot pile of garbage, I am impressed despite all of the like, yeah, kind of weird things. And it's not, Halo Infinite story is not the strongest by far in any of the Halo games.
Yeah.
But
No.
I'm impressed that they managed to acknowledge Halo 5 happened and move past it and
Yep.
set up something new that has my interest going forward.
Yeah.
Because I had no idea if they were ever going to be able to accomplish coming back from Halo 5 story. And I think they're on their way there. Not that they've fully done it, but
I think so too.
they're well there.
As far as the recovery type of story goes, it wasn't just a good recovery story. I think it was a strong recovery story.
It was the best they could do.
Yeah, like the next game that they make, as long as they like play it right, like we can just I'll never forget, but I will forgive them for now. You know.
Yeah. I'll
I-
never forget.
Which I just saluted. I don't have a camera, but
He
yeah.
saluted with a
I
single
just like
tear
seeing
rolling
Steve
down his
going in.
cheek.
You said never forget. Just like hit a salute. um,
Hoorah! Okay. So yeah, I don't
anyways,
know.
yeah,
Okay,
open
but
world.
about the open world stuff of Halo, I gotta be honest. Okay, I'm really torn. Halo's sandbox is so much fun, and the equipment really shines in the campaign in a way it can't in multiplayer for balancing reasons.
Yeah.
But I like there are moments that the open world there. I think what's interesting, right, is like any base or whatever you go to take down. There's a lot of different options for how you approach it based on how the open world functions, and like with fobs where you can call in vehicles and weapons and stuff.
Mhm.
Like a lot of replayability there,
I
but
did like that a lot.
I really feel like the empty space in between is that it's just empty and it's kind of pointless.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I remember thinking was there's a lot of empty space that is pretty, but I was like, man, if they'd have like maybe just a diversity of biomes here, this might be a little bit more fun to just run around through.
Yeah,
But
or more enemies like scattered throughout.
well, I think there were a pretty decent amount of enemies scattered throughout, honestly.
Uh,
I
I
was
think
pretty often surprised by where I found enemies when I was just being a Skyrim horse and going up a mountain
I wish they had
instead of taking a road.
roaming patrols or something though.
Sure.
Like
And I can
it
understand why
just
they didn't want to create a world where you're going to get shot at 24/7. Like, it would make no sense for them to have the banished literally over every inch. But, like, I think I see what you're like. There were definitely some spots where you're like, oh, there's people here. And, like, this isn't like a base on the
Yeah.
map. And this isn't like a whatever. Like, I get that. I think maybe there could have been more of it. And it could have been
Yeah.
less like, oh, here's two grunts that are guarding ghosts that are really just there so that you can grab a
yeah.
ghost and go somewhere.
I think
Like, create more of a camp where it's like, oh, I can clear this little thing and get a cool ghost. You
Yeah,
know?
sure.
I think I'll agree with that. I think most of the enemies that were scattered, it's like a couple of jackals and a brute. Like you never run into something really difficult. Unless you're chasing a skull, then you're gonna run into like powered up hunters or something
Yeah,
crazy,
screw
which
those
are a pain in the
guys.
Okay,
but there's
yeah,
like no
side
in
note.
between, right? There's like 0 to 100, I
Yeah.
think.
Side note, the first hunters I ran into were guarding a skull. I just happened into them
Oh,
and the
really?
skull. Yeah, so they were like the big, like red armored
Double red ones
hunters.
that are guarding a skull way up in the
Dude.
top left.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I was like, oh, this should be pretty standard Halo procedures, like the
Nope.
last 7 Halo games that I played, where I just get in close and they lunge and I shoot them in the back. Nah,
I will
they're
say though,
so much harder. They're
mercifully, they
so
were
much harder.
not as difficult as the Halo 5 hunters. Halo 5's hunters were ridiculous.
They
You know,
were
I played Halo 5's
ridiculous.
campaign one time in like
That's all you
six
need.
hours, and I don't remember. So
The hunters are full on bosses in Halo
I just
5.
remembered
They are
walking in,
tough.
and I had like a gravity hammer, and I couldn't kill them with that, and I was kind of surprised by that. And then I tried sniping them because I had a sniper as well, and I mean, it probably took me like 20 minutes to kill two of them. I
Yeah, they
was
take a
really
ton of damage.
surprised. I was impressed though. I thought that was
And,
cool.
and I'll
I don't
tell
know if you
you,
just
so
do it the same way you always have.
I think I might have the most campaign experience between the three of us. I've beat the game entirely
Absolutely.
on heroic when it first came out, and then I played it on easy so I could get all of the collectibles, and then I played it on legendary.
Nerd.
I know. So I just got to do it on normal now. No, I'm not going to do it. But the thing is, like, they are definitely scaled by difficulty too, and I'm not just talking about their
Oh,
aggressiveness and all this other stuff. Like how quickly they move. When I was playing on easy, I could, like Halo 3 style, get them into a lunge and juke them and shoot them in the back and do that a couple times and they died. When I was on legendary, they will never show you their back. They will do a very
Yeah.
quick smack and they will instantly be looking at you. Like, and their smack is quick. So, like, equipment is literally the only way that we would be able to kill them, is being able to use those shields and throw grenades and do such and such. Like, it was a challenge to kill them on legendary. Meanwhile, on easy, yes, I could juke them and do the typical method. So yeah, playing through on heroic for the first time, I was like, man, these guys seem a little bit hard. But then playing it on easy, I was like, okay, I can see it's scaled now. So
I'm really looking forward to doing co-op in that game, though.
me
It's gonna be
too.
so fun. It's gonna be
Yeah,
so
that was the only other thing I had to say about the open world was I think it will be a 10 out of 10 open world once there are two of you.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Like taking and I hope they don't rebalance the world and everything to accommodate two people. I
No, I
want
hope
them
they
to
make it
just I want it
ridiculous.
pure chaos. I want two fully powered Master Chiefs against the exact same difficulty AI, same HP, same like
Yeah.
like behaviors, all of
I
that.
mean, I'm
I
okay if they
want them to
throw in more
embrace it.
enemies. Like, go for it.
No, absolutely not.
A
I
little
don't
bit.
think they honestly can. I think they
They haven't done that in any of the previous Halo games.
I'm just saying
Every
that could be
single
the
Halo
thing where they
game
can
had the
scale
same
Well,
it, you
amount
know?
I honestly
modes
think
of
though, with the
difficulty.
number of AI they have in their bases, I'm pretty sure they're tapping out the capabilities of their engine. I don't think they're leaving a lot of headroom
That might be true.
for more AI
Sure.
capability. But anyways, so yeah, that's Halo. We love it.
You should play it if
play
you
it.
haven't.
Absolutely, go
It's
play
free
it.
to play. The multiplayer is free to play, and it's awesome. You just ignore the battle pass if you don't want it because the gameplay is what matters. The game, like the
It's also
reason
a
I am
pretty
playing
good,
that game is the gameplay.
yeah, it's a pretty good intro to shooters too because you don't die immediately. I'm just gonna say everything that's not Call of Duty about it. You don't die immediately from people that you don't even see.
You can always know who's shooting at you.
And it's not, I mean, like you're obviously rocking guns and stuff, but it's not like there's bloody explosions or anything. It's pretty tame in terms of violence.
I gotta be honest, I'm disappointed that 343 made the decision to take blood out of Halo and have stood by it because there's nothing better than beating an elite in Halo 1 until the hallway is purple.
That's true.
That's true.
We all did it. Don't pretend like we didn't.
It's why our
It's so
parents
weird
didn't
that
want
that's
us
the thing that
playing
we
it.
all did. Yeah, because it's like yeah, if I looking back now, like if I had a kid and I just walked in and they were just pounding a dead body in a video game to see how much blood they could get out of it, I'd be like, okay, the next step is killing squirrels, and then they become Ted Bundy.
Yeah. That's the prerequisite to what people usually call step one to becoming a serial killer is the killing the
Yeah,
squirrels.
exactly.
We see that as
Like, that's the new
they have
one.
potential for step one.
That's the new step one is that. So I was like, man, that's kind of messed up. But it
Oh,
was
none
just
of us
funny.
became serial killers.
That's
Not
true.
that we know about. What are the chances there are 3 serial killers on this call?
All right, yeah. No, I
More
don't
than
think
one,
it's
less
but
than 100.
all right.
Anyways, moving right
What else did you
along.
want to talk about?
I feel we need to follow up on the Skyrim conversation.
Yeah, how's your wife doing?
Well, she's not a vampire anymore.
Hello.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. So yeah, okay, so literally after we finished recording that last episode, I downloaded Skyrim
Yeah, that was
back to
really
my
funny.
computer. Like Tanner went to go to the bathroom and I downloaded it in the amount of time he was like in the
Yeah.
bathroom for 8 minutes or whatever. And then I went and found the download so I could marry Serana and downloaded that mod. And oh man, so I didn't actually start playing it until I think it was the next week, like on Thanksgiving break. I was off work for like 6 days straight or something.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
also worth
played,
noting that you downloaded like a million other mods, right?
Oh yeah.
yeah, that happened after about, I actually played, um, I played a pretty decent amount of, I spent probably 10 to 15 hours in the game before I started downloading a whole bunch of other mods.
Oh,
Basically, I got really fed up with how ugly all the NPCs in that game are after, 11 years or 10 years.
Yep.
And so
sure.
I was kind of just dealing with it. And then when Serana popped out, I'm like, no, I know there are mods to make this NPC prettier. If I'm gonna wife this vampire after like 4 years of build up, I am I am making her pretty. So that's when I downloaded mods to make like all the NPCs look better. I like, you know,
I bet there's a
most
mod to make her look exactly like the hot vampire lady from Resident Evil.
I would not even be remotely surprised.
I bet there is
Lady
a mod for
Dimitrescu.
that.
There
I'll
definitely
look
is.
it
But
up
There's
later.
no way
most
there's
of
not.
okay, I have to add most of the stuff I downloaded, I wasn't like doing crazy stuff. I didn't download really useful dragons, right, to like make them all Thomas the Tank
No,
Engine.
it wasn't turning
I
into a meme. It was to turn
no,
into a more immersive
I
experience.
was doing game enhancements, like
Immersive
updating
movements,
graphics a little
graphics.
bit and textures. I added like the cloaks and capes because why would I not wear a fur cape with my armor?
Yeah, no, it's cool.
And I
Tank.
I downloaded a mod that like added variety to dragons, so there's like more types than just fire and ice and stuff like that. So, and some of the cities I downloaded, the ones I actually didn't even see until you were over that one time, Tanner, and we were investigating, like kind of
Oh, I remember
rearranged
that.
the cities, made them more interesting. So
Yeah, it was
just kind
very
of and
interesting.
added variety to the architecture in the cities, so they're not just all the same buildings all over the place. So
Uh-huh.
mostly stuff like that. But I gotta say, I am looking forward to getting back into Skyrim again and finishing the Dragonborn DLC because I still need to do that. And
Ooh, that's a good DLC.
It is
I kind
good.
of want to do the Bard's College just because,
I mean, it's like
there's no
3
reason,
quests. Just
because.
do it.
Yeah,
Uh,
Dragonborn is usually like the end of my playthrough.
Yep.
Will be to do the Dragonborn DLC.
yeah. So I need to do the. Oh, I started the Dark Brotherhood. I need to do that.
It's a good
I
quest
know
line.
the
Oh, yeah.
Thieves Guild you can make lots of money, but
You can make
like
a
at this point in the
crap
game,
ton
when
of
I'm
money.
at this point in the game though, when I'm like level 50 something and I need money for something, look, I've already modded the crap out of the game. I'll just use console commands if I am hurting bad enough for money because I've got
Boo.
anyways. I already got a bunch at this point anyways. Like I have so much money I don't know what to do with already, so
Yeah, I am such a looter that, like, in my original playthrough, I was so meticulous about, like, how much gold I was getting per weight of things I was bringing back to sell, to the point where I
Yeah.
literally had, like,
Derek's doing the Zach Galifianakis gif of the math.
really though, like, to the point where outside of Bellathor's shop was literally just and I think Tanner's seen it, I have a pile of just jewels and jewelry and stuff just sitting there because he does not have enough gold to buy all of my stuff. Like, so I would go
I will say
day
that's the
after
only
day.
thing I used console commands for was to give vendors more money
That is a
because I thought
mod
that
that I
was
now proudly use, is to make them
At
have
that
more
point,
gold.
though, you might as well just give yourself the money. What is the
At that
difference?
point, I literally when I was at that point in the game,
I
I
don't know.
only
It
had
feels
the
like I'm
house in
cheating.
Whiterun. I went around to every single hold and got the trust that I needed so I could buy a house, and I fully furnished all of them and didn't even make a dent. Like,
Yeah, I've done
I'm
that.
like the Jeff Bezos of Skyrim. I could ruin the economy by just disappearing.
I am the economy.
like really, like it was so much gold. And you know what? I'm happy that I did
Everybody.
everything I needed
Tanner's
for
dead.
it.
The Jeff Bezos of Skyrim.
So
Yeah, just
I
like
am
will
Jeff
say
Bezos, I'll freaking kill anyone that crosses me.
I will say having replayed Skyrim, not dealing with the trauma and heartbreak, I really I
Of just not being able to marry an
I tried
NPC.
to
Yeah.
keep a straight face and I said it, but man, uh, um, I don't know. I don't know how to identify what it is about Skyrim that makes it so good even 10 years later. Like there's just something about it. Maybe just the planets align perfectly like at a moment in design. I don't know,
It's just fun.
but
That's all.
it's fun. Yeah.
It's just got a good central
And
gameplay loop.
oh my gosh. Okay, so I knew like the song of the Dragonborn, right? And the huh, huh, huh thing. Like I get that, but like the soundtrack in general, like the
Yeah,
ambient
the
music
ambient
and stuff
music.
is just incredible.
I've had many roommates
Like
in college, and throughout, like, I think about 3 or 4 of them would all fall asleep to Skyrim ambient music, like, every night.
I absolutely listens to Skyrim ambient music on like
I will
drives.
I will add that to my falling asleep music. I
Great.
Good.
game I listen to the most right now for falling asleep, Outer Wilds. That game will just
Which we
I
can
played
talk
that
about
game
that
last
next time, because Tanner's just got to be do I.
No, forget about that. Let's talk about that now.
Well, Tanner, well, we could talk about it, but Tanner
I haven't done the
hasn't done
DLC
Echoes
yet.
of the Eye, and I think he should do it first.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, yeah. Let's let you finish that.
Yeah, phenomenal game. That's all I'll say so far.
Greatest game ever made.
Yeah, Tanner came over
And
and we
I'm
did it
not
like
saying that as a joke.
we
in my
just did it all in one playthrough. It was awesome. So
Yeah. It was a good day. That was a week ago yesterday.
Yeah, come over next week. We'll do Echoes.
Okay. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I feel like in my head I'm kind of like Skyrim walked, so Breath of the Wild can run.
That, you know?
Because like,
Okay, you know what I have to say to that? I forgot to mention this when we were talking about Halo Infinite. I feel like Breath of the Wild walked so Infinite could run because Breath of the Wild they designed it like they looked at the very first Legend of Zelda game and were like, how do we recapture this but modernize it, right?
yeah.
And I think the exact same thing with Halo Infinite.
Yep.
They
Well,
looked at
I
the
think
first game
sure.
for
I don't even know
atmosphere
if I'd
and stuff.
attribute that to Halo Infinite as much as I would Doom.
Oh, that's a fair call.
Because yeah, because Doom really lost its way, and then they released a new Doom game, and it was like exactly
They
like the
came out
original. It was
swinging that chainsaw.
freaking metal.
Yep.
uh, yeah, and that's been a good trend in modern gaming, just in general. That there's been a lot of series that people have hated newer installments that they've just been like, hey, how about instead of trying to make it Call of Duty, we just make it what it was but prettier.
And I will point
You
out,
know?
when we say that, I mean, we're not necessarily condoning that we make a remaster of every single version of old games. That's not what people should do.
No,
We're
absolutely
talking
not.
about the fact that people have taken the things that made those games so great, and they went back to those
Yeah,
essentials, and they made
And
them
they
modern.
evolved it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just
because
wanted to
it's
clarify.
just what's the core identity of the game, and then making a game based off of what the core identity was that people actually enjoyed about the game,
Yep.
instead of just trying to become Call of Duty.
I'm
Yeah.
still.
You know
Um,
what's funny about this trying to become Call of Duty thing? Halo 5, people are like, you're trying to be Call of Duty by copying their movement, and everybody just forgets that Call of Duty was trying to be Titanfall.
Yep.
yeah, I saw this meme the other day that was like Titanfall 3 wish list, and there was just one item on it and said, "Please."
Titanfall 3. Oh, okay. Please, yeah. Dude, I cannot tell you how badly I want Titanfall 3.
Yes,
And it needs to have a
Uh,
campaign, and it needs to.
fantastic game. Anyways,
Fantastic.
it's the new Half-Life 3 for me for sure.
oh, don't, oh. That's depressing.
It'll never
Uh,
come.
Oh,
yeah, it'll never happen.
it hurts.
Yeah.
Okay, so last thing we wanted to talk about here. We need to talk about Spider-Man.
Oh, sure.
And we're gonna full spoiler warning this. I am spoiling everything at this point. If you
Yeah,
haven't seen
screw that,
Spider-Man
yeah.
No Way
This is
Home,
apparently
get off of
very
it and watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at the
Yeah,
end of
yeah,
this,
yeah.
we'll say thanks for
Find it.
watching and comment if you liked something, all that same good stuff. But like, if you haven't seen it yet, leave now.
Leave.
Like
This is your warning.
Like, I don't like. We ain't doing this for ad revenue and watch
How have
times.
you
Just
not?
leave.
No.
Just leave. We need to
How
talk about
it's been
this.
out almost a month now. Like, if you haven't seen it at this point, you're just waiting till it comes out on DVD. Like, that's
Either that, or
just
you're trying to
where it
schedule it
is.
with somebody, and they keep postponing it over and over and over again. So you
Just
just
go by
Yeah, well,
yourself.
so you just go by
yeah,
yourself and
bro,
don't tell them and go again.
she's not into you. You go by yourself.
Guys, I went and saw it for a fourth time on Monday night.
Oh my gosh.
Really?
Yeah, I was bored and wanted to hang out with Kyson. We're like, what should we do? And I was like, you want to go see Spider-Man again? He's like, yeah. So
Dang.
Okay. Well, what was your favorite moment?
Oh gosh.
Because you've seen it four
you can't
times.
you can't come swinging out with
My
that
favorite
question. The
moment
whole
was the
movie
two and
was
a
my
half
favorite.
hours I sat in the theater. Like, what do you want from me?
There.
My favorite
Okay, what
moment
was the
was
most
holding my
surprising
pee
moment? How about
happily.
that? What was the moment that surprised you most?
Um,
Or not even moment, just what surprised you most about it?
I think the thing that actually surprised me the most was uh Aunt May. And
True.
not just her dying and her being the one to deliver the with great power comes great responsibility, but being like just her character in that movie in general. I feel like she kind of was a joke in every other movie she's been in, like the
Yeah,
hot aunt, and that's just that's what she
she
was.
was hot
Literally, she
ant
filled
crowd
the role
service. Yeah.
She
as
was
a
just
joke
hot
by
aunt.
being
Yeah.
but they actually made like they I think they fleshed out her relationship with Peter in such a short amount of time, by the way, like screen time, but in a way that I really appreciated like how she, how clearly how much she meant to Peter, and how I think she earned being the character to do that. With great power, there must also come great responsibility.
Yeah.
And then yeah. Also, the second she said that, I was like, oh, so she's dead.
Yeah. No, I saw her get
Right?
hit by the
Yeah,
glider,
you
and I
knew
was
it.
like, she's
Like,
definitely
the
dead. And then she was
moment.
like, oh, I'm not feeling too great, like Mr.
Well,
Stark.
dude, when she got hit with
And I
the
was like,
glider,
oh
I
shoot,
thought,
she ain't doing
I
too
thought that
hot.
she died right then.
I did too.
yeah, I thought they were gonna do like the freaking exactly what happened to like original Green
Yeah, like
Goblin
stick
and new
through
Green
him.
Goblin actually. Yeah, just straight, just like impaled. Like she looks down, sees the spikes through her, and it's just like, whoa.
Yeah.
That didn't
I'm
happen.
concerned.
Which is fine
Yeah.
because it's a movie that you want to take your kids to.
Which does talk kind of lean into what I was going to say. Probably shocked me the most is whenever we were seeing the trailers for it, I was like, oh, there's all these people getting pulled in, and I was like, so there must be some bigger thing going on that they're trying to fix. Like that was always what like I was thinking about. Like I thought the main bad guy wasn't necessarily anybody we were seeing. I thought it was going to be, oh, we need to fix and send these people back, and it was a little crowd servicey to have them in there. But I was really, really happy that Green Goblin became the villain. We didn't really see him be in the first movie with Tobey
Oh.
Maguire. Like,
Can we talk about how haunting Willem Dafoe was as Green
so
Goblin too?
He was
Like
very good.
he killed
the
it.
part
He stole
where
that movie.
like where he first reveals he's still like the goblin's still in there or whatever, right? And then he's fighting Peter in that hallway, and Peter jumps on him and he's like punching him, and he's just like
Laughing.
taking the punches and grinning and laughing.
And then he
Oh,
grabs him and just like freaking throws him down 3
just
flights.
suplexes him
Yeah.
through 10 stories.
Was so good. That was the best fight in the movie
was.
by far.
Oh yeah.
Definitely the
Oh.
best MCU fight.
I don't
scene
know.
in
I
with
really liked
Peter Parker.
I really liked at the end when Peter was just beating the tar out of him, and you got to really see how strong Peter is.
Yeah, I thought that was cool too.
Yep.
Oh, also, side note, I don't know if I'm sure you've noticed this since you've seen it 4 times, but Tom Holland said that he loves the Spider-Man game for PS4, and
Oh, yeah.
he made sure that they put 2 of
Oh,
the
yeah.
finishers from that
Oh,
game in
I
there.
noticed both of them.
I noticed.
And he put what?
immediately, yeah, like you guys gnarly.
2 of the finisher moves from Spider-Man, he does them in the movie
Oh,
when he's
really?
fighting Goblin. Yeah,
Yeah,
so that
like
and when he's on the balcony and he like webs the ground and then kicks down and then kicks
Oh, I
him through
saw
the balcony
that.
is one of
Yeah.
them. And then that in that
that was
fight when
from
he
the
like
game.
punches the ground where he misses him and it's like that super loud ding
Yeah.
and he hits the ground. That's
Like when
one
he's
of the
gonna take
finisher
his head
moves
off.
too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so those are both from the game as just like the special takedowns, those knockouts.
Oh, cool.
And I noticed them immediately. Like I turned to Darley and I was like, "That was from the video game."
Yeah. Oh yeah. I noticed it in the first time I saw it too. It's
I mean, when I saw him do the web
Yeah.
to the ground thing, I was like, oh, that's like, I'm glad that they did that. That's a classic Spider-Man thing. I didn't even realize that. Oh, that's
Yeah,
specifically.
that was
those are
straight
not
out of the
classic
video game.
Spider-Man things as far as I know. Those are just from
Well,
the game.
I guess I should say classic. In my mind, that's always been something I'm like, oh yeah, Spider-Man would do that. Like he's his environment. He would definitely drop kick people with the power of his webs. Like absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Willem Dafoe was amazing. I walked out of that movie just being like, wow, Green Goblin was so cool in this film. I'm so glad that he was.
Coolest on screen. I really feel like he has now become the best like live action Spider-Man villain. He like
Yeah.
someone finally beat Dr. Octopus.
I think so.
I walked out and I said to Darley, like, I am so glad that Green Goblin took his rightful place as Spider-Man's arch nemesis.
Yep.
I mean,
like he was in the comics for like the entire run.
Yep.
yeah, it was amazing.
It was
Okay,
great.
and then the other thing we have to talk about with No Way Home. I know the whole internet knew it was going to happen. I still can't believe they didn't. Like, I can't believe they did it. And they did it so well.
Yep. Having Toby and Andrew there.
Oh man. And okay. Here's what I have to say about that, right? I really
I
like
feel
that they
censored right now.
You what?
Said I feel skipped.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. I didn't
No,
hear
it's
you say
fine. You're on a
anything.
roll already.
Okay. I love how they used them, right? Like they didn't just throw them in there as pure fan service. Like they
Yeah.
served a purpose in the story, and Peter's Peter 1's story, right? In helping him and in his character
Yeah.
development. It wasn't just like a let's just throw him in there for the heck of it. Like they really had such a powerful impact in his story and in his journey by having them come to him after Aunt May died and being like, "Look, we do understand what you're going through, and we
Yeah.
know where you want to go, and it's not gonna fix it
I
because
thought
we've
that in
both done it."
particular was super powerful because, like, arguably, like Peter got through Uncle Ben's death and came out of it on the other side, becoming Spider-Man in both of the other Spider-Man movies because he still had Aunt May to go through it with, basically.
Yeah,
And then this one was like, Ben's already dead, and now May is dead, so it's like he was truly alone. So the only person that knew what he was going through, besides Jesus, was
Yeah.
the other versions of him.
And I think that's something that they really did well is like all the other Spider-Man had a moment where it was, and I'm not just talking about where the line was dropped of great power, great responsibility. I'm talking about every Spider-Man previously had a moment where they were like, every good Spider-Man, I should say. You see it in like the PS4 game and everything, where they have that moment of being Spider-Man is about helping the little guy. It's about, when you help someone, you help everyone. It's about being something bigger than just himself. And like
being the
Tom
friendly
Holland,
neighborhood Spider-Man.
younger still in high school Spider-Man, like we don't expect to see that yet. Like, and so I was really happy that we got to see that turn of, oh yeah, I need to be something bigger than just myself as he's transitioning into like
Yeah.
the young adulthood age,
Yeah.
I think that was
And I
cool.
will say this, I've seen a ton of people, like I've seen a lot of conversation about this because I'm obviously actively participating in it. And people are just so excited that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were in it. And I'm glad that they were because they were fantastic and I loved them. I always liked Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. I still
I did
don't like
too.
the movies, but I think he's great.
Too.
That's another thing that's annoying me. People are like, "Oh my gosh, the Amazing Spider-Man movies are so good." I'm like, "No, the first one's good.
Andrew
The second one's
Garfield
okay."
First one's pretty
great.
good.
Andrew Garfield is amazing.
He's a
Yeah.
great Spider-Man. You can argue about how he's not a great Peter all day long, but like that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
Well,
But I guess I just think there's not enough being said about how good Tom Holland was, like that he was still a teenager. And I think he's played that role better than any of the previous ones because in this whole arc, he's just been in high school the entire time. Like he's so clearly still
Ew.
just a young kid, dumb kid with superpowers. And I really liked that in this one, you finally saw him go from that to like Spider-Man, like Spider-Boy to Spider-Man, basically.
Yep.
yeah.
He's on grow
Oh
up.
yeah. My biggest complaint, and I've talked with both of you about this before. I know I have. My biggest complaint, especially after Far From Home, right? Is the
Because
second
he
one?
just lives in Iron Man's shadow.
Is yeah, but then as I thought about that more and more, I was like, this version of Peter Parker has not had it. Like it didn't. It I assumed he had the with great power comes great responsibility moment, but I was like, it doesn't feel like he's had that moment yet. Like he is not actually Spider-Man yet. Like he
Yeah.
hasn't reached that point where he's learned whatever big lesson he needs to learn in order to truly become Spider-Man and what Spider-Man kind of stands for and is, right? So
Yeah.
I was really glad that they gave him that moment and I love that they did it in a different way. Not and it could have still been Uncle Ben instead of Aunt May, like literally. Like Aunt May could have died and he could have been living with Uncle Ben and then Uncle Ben said like literally just you could have gender bent that role to Uncle Ben and I still love how different it ended up being because you had the other two Spider-Men there to mentor him and kind of help him through that.
Well, it also was really different because she knew that he was Spider-Man,
Yeah, that's true.
and I think that added a big layer of
A lot
depth
of
to
weight.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she's not just saying like, "Oh, you're like special because you're gifted and you're smart, and I love you because I raised you as my child." It's just like, "Hey, dipstick, like you're a superhero. I don't
Act like
care
one.
how cool you think you are. Like, yeah, you are a superhero and you need to help people regardless of
Like
what happens to you
previously, it
because
was
of it."
just your uncle telling you to like be a good guy and like take good
Yeah,
responsibility.
exactly, 'cause he's
And
smart.
then you're like, oh crap, I have this great power that he doesn't even know about. So that means I need to have a great responsibility. No, like she knows what he has on the table. She knows how important he'll be, and she's like, listen, you have this
Yeah.
great power, and like if you're not greatly responsible, like I'm gonna come down and beat you myself. No.
My ghost will beat you up and down, Brooklyn.
And I think another
Okay,
thing
well, I
that
was gonna
really
say,
added to the emotional trauma, and I'll just say this, is previously with all of the other losses of loved ones, the Spider-Man got to be there for it and feel it, but in his case, he was being shot at and had to leave her, and I think that just adds a lot of depth to it. Like
yeah, that
he
was
didn't
really
get to
sad.
be there and
What
be
were you gonna say,
Peter and
Tanner?
feel it. He had to be Spider-Man and run.
That was sad.
Anyway, Tanner,
I
tell
was,
us about the thing that
I
shocked
was
you
just saying,
most.
freaking Daredevil.
Dude,
True.
yes.
I'm a
Like,
really
it's
good
funny.
lawyer.
It's like the same thing with Endgame, where like the thing that surprised me most about Endgame obviously wasn't that everyone came back to life and that somebody used the Infinity Gauntlet and died. It was Captain America using Thor's hammer because it was just I'd thought about the movie so freaking much that it was like there's literally nothing that's going to happen in here that I'm not going to be like I thought that might happen.
Yep.
But that was the thing, right? And there was the same thing in this movie. Like it was basically impossible to walk into it and not be like Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are probably going to show up. Probably. And I did recognize immediately, by the way, like the
Andrew Garfield.
moment
Oh
that
yeah.
Ford, I was like, that's Andrew Garfield.
Even
Yep.
before that, like when
I
he
did.
was like, "Oh my gosh, we need to find
He's
him,"
like,
and he's like,
fight
"Find
Spider-Man.
Peter Parker or Spider-Man." I was like, "That's going to be another one. Like it's not going to be
And I was
him."
like, yep, there
And
it
then I
is.
saw him. I was like, "Yep, that's Andrew Garfield." It's like I knew it
Yep.
before he even saw him.
He's a tall,
Freaking
lanky
such a
dude.
nerd because you can recognize the freaking eyes are bigger on his
Oh
suit
yeah.
from like
And that he's more
100 feet
slender.
away.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was like, man, I'm such a nerd. But that was the thing for me was I'd heard rumors that Charlie Cox is going to be in this, but I was like, that's just wishful thinking. Um, I really did not think that was going to happen. So when he showed
And
up
then
on
Keaton
screen,
showed up in Hawkeye the day before.
yeah, that's true too. That was dope.
Sorry, go ahead.
Which hot take? I
No,
totally
yeah,
don't think
that
he's dead.
no, of course
That's
not.
not a hot take.
I'm pretty sure there's like a rule in filmmaking that if you don't show somebody's death on screen and it's not a
That's
kids movie, they're not
That's what I
actually dead.
said, and then Jesse said, "But it's a kids' Christmas show," and I was like, "You are right about that," but I was like, "I think it's a step further."
They swear in that show. It is not
Yeah,
a
they
It's
kid
swear.
show.
true, but I mean, like, it's definitely that's a whole other conversation to be had that we can have another time. But
Well, I would say if they did, what a monumental waste.
yeah,
Because he is fantastic.
no, there's
And I
no way
love
he would
Daredevil.
get shot by just
I
what's her face.
love I love Daredevil. That show is so
Oh,
good.
so
So
good.
seeing him show up in the MCU and like actually acknowledging that he existed was
It's
really
on my
cool.
list to
And it
watch
gave me a
again.
lot of hope that leading into the future, Spider-Man is going to stop being I'm saving the world / universe Spider-Man and start doing what he said he was going to do in the first MCU Spider-Man movie, which is just be your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man and deal with like street level crime like Daredevil
Yep.
does. Because I think that's where Spider-Man functions the
And I think
best
that there's a little
is when he's
nod to
just saving
that
New York
in this
City.
movie, and that is the suit that he's wearing at the end of it. Like,
I was
Oh,
crying.
like instead of him
That was the part I
wearing
cried
this
when I saw him
teched out
suit.
Tony Stark like Avengers level threat suit, he's just wearing a suit he made himself now.
Yeah, that
uh,
actually made me so happy when I saw that
I
he was wearing the classic comic book suit. I was
I
like, oh
Well,
my
it's not
gosh.
entirely classic because
I
it was
don't even know
extra
how to
blue
explain how
shiny,
happy it made
as
me.
if it's like.
Okay,
That's the
sure.
one thing I
It was
had is like
Yeah.
glitter,
I hope he
but
doesn't
like,
look like Christmas Spider-Man in his next movie because it was a little bit much. I think
It was a little
it
satin.
was a little sad.
it's so cool.
I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to tack on to this though, because I watched Into the Spider-Verse last night, and I
Mm.
realized something when I was watching it. Into the Spider-Verse, I don't think we would have had No Way Home without Into the Spider-Verse, and I don't mean the multiple Spider-Man part. What I mean is Into the Spider-Verse, what I really like the most about the movie is the entire point of the movie is kind of a dissection to, at its core, what is Spider-Man, right? Like, what is that
Mhm.
character really supposed to be through all the different versions? And, and they put it in that term of, they talk about no matter how many times you get knocked down, you get back up. And then they also mention, though, with great power comes great responsibility. And,
Yeah.
and I love that. We all know that with great power, I love no matter how many times you get knocked down, you always get back up. Because that's something I had never really put into words before seeing that movie. And
He's Rocky.
I think Tom Holland's Peter Parker's journey comes to its head, and like the moment he really truly in my head has become Spider-Man is when he goes to talk to Ned and MJ
Oh,
and he decides not to tell them.
oh,
Because to me,
don't talk
I
about
know. And he like points at her head and she's like, it's fine, it doesn't hurt anymore. And he has this moment.
Yeah.
Like it's that moment. You can see it on
No.
his face where he realizes it's better for them to not have him in their life, like for their own safety. And to me, that's the moment where I think it's Peter Parker is at his best when he knocks himself down in order to save someone else, allows himself to be knocked
Yep.
down in order to protect someone else, and then still gets back up and moves on and keeps being Spider-Man.
Yep.
Never forget Marvel robbed you of Sorcerer Supreme, Ned.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, dude. That
They don't.
happened.
No one remembers Peter Parker.
That's true.
Yeah.
Everyone remembers Spider-Man.
Doctor Strange. Okay, here's the thing, right? Everyone's memories get wiped. Doctor Strange was still probably up there on the Statue of Liberty, and they're still sitting there on the island.
I mean, they know
And
they
he's still-
worked with Spider-Man
and
too. Like that's
And
something people
Happy still clearly remembers
working with Spider-Man.
working with Spider-Man. He just doesn't remember Peter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so
Well-
I think Doctor Strange and all of them are probably still going to remember Spider-Man. I think it's
that's
just
what they said. Yeah,
Peter's a black hole.
They make it very clear that the world still remembers Spider-Man. Because J. Jonah Jameson's ranting about him at the end. He doesn't just swing in like, who's this new guy?
Yeah.
They just forget who Peter Parker is. So they basically throw him in the same boat that he's been in at the beginning of Tobey Maguire's movies. And that, I think, is, yeah, like you said, the greatest part. It's funny because I sent you guys that meme the other day where it's like, where it's Charlie, Moist Critical, just, and it's, yeah, baby, that's what I'm talking about. It's just like, when Spider-Man is,
when
fans, when they see Peter Parker
in the lowest point of his life ever.
The lowest point of his life without his girlfriend. Everyone has forgotten who he is, and now he has to pay his own rent as a high school dropout. It's like, yeah, baby.
But that's what the appeal of Spider-Man was in the first place, right? Spider-Man became popular because he was the first superhero that wasn't a well-funded scientist or a rich person or had a successful career. He struggled to pay his rent and pay his bills, but is still out there doing the best thing he can possibly do.
It is the best part about him, and I love that.
And I think that's something that and that's the whole other deal with how this all connects and crap with Doctor Strange and such. Like he's still very much going to have a role within the MCU and people will know about it. But yes, he does have, and that's really what hit me so hard, is I was like, he can easily go talk to Doctor Strange and be like, hey, guess what? Like, I'm Spider-Man, I'm Peter Parker. There was this big thing that happened, and he's going to go, yeah, that sounds right. Like, that sounds like something I would do. Like, Doctor Strange runs into that crap all the time, and he can reforge relationships with all the people that know him as just Spider-Man. But it's when it came to the people that knew him as Peter before it all, that is where he was weak. And those are the people he's scared to go talk to, because he could just go up to MJ and say, you've been working with Spider-Man and maybe have this tingling feeling of having feelings for him. Well, guess what? It's me. I'm Peter. Like, he could use that as a way in.
Peter tingle.
But that's not what he wants to do,
Hold on. Can we talk about the Doctor Strange trailer that was at the end of that movie?
What do you want to talk about?
Oh my god.
What about it?
When I saw that trailer, dude, I am so hyped for that
Dude,
movie.
from the moment they
am
announced the name of
so
that movie,
excited.
like 2 years ago, I was
No,
excited.
that's always been my number one most excited for thing since they announced like the new slate after Endgame. That's always been my number one. But
Oh, yeah.
gosh, that trailer was so good. And like the fact that there was like the bad Doctor
Oh
Strange
yeah,
that probably is the one from What If was
or at
like
least inspired by
what?
the events of it. Exactly.
I don't think it is the one from What If, because the one from What If is responsible for guarding that
Well, I
pocket
know, but
dimension
maybe
with
he abandons his
Ultron.
duties. You know, who knows what happens? I don't know. The point
I
was,
At least,
don't think
I mean, it's
so, but
I
inspired by the
still
same
think
thought, which is if
he's
Doctor Strange wanted to,
fascinating.
he could be a very nasty villain, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it looks so
And then
good.
what's his son?
And
then
so
what's
Wanda is
back?
back, still looking
Wanda,
smoking in her Scarlet Witch suit. Oof.
that is very true. That suit, yeah, so good.
Which, for
They
the
did
record,
such a good job on that.
for anybody listening to this that's about to comment about, the Elizabeth Olsen thirst, I had Elizabeth Olsen thirst long before last year when everybody realized during that show that she's really hot. I don't know why it took that long for everybody else to get there.
Did it?
It seems like it, because there was an
I can comment on
unreasonable
before
amount.
I was married, right? Because yeah, when I saw her in Age of Ultron, I was just like, whoa,
Woo!
she's gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
But at any rate, she's great. Love her characters. Love to see her back. Um, always want more Wong in my life. No
Oh, I
homo.
love Wong.
Wong's a great character.
And
I will say one thing that I liked is there was the whole line in the trailer where he was like, "Don't you dare do that," and leaves. That totally did not happen in the movie. Like in the movie, he was like, "I think we should do this," and he was like, "Well, be careful," and leaves.
Just leave me
Yeah,
out of it.
exactly. I just think it's really funny
Yeah.
that they made it seem like it was this big thing that
Oh,
we're keeping from Wong,
okay.
but they totally didn't. He was just like, "Oh, go for it, but leave me out of it."
Yeah, other thing, his facial hair in that new trailer. Ooh.
You noticed when they were in the basement that MJ found a
Yeah,
goatee template?
that was so funny.
Wait, hold on. Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
What?
When they're in
I
the
don't
basement, when they first get down there and it's kind of showing them like setting up and stuff,
Picking through stuff, crossbow and
MJ is
such.
holding a box and she's looking at it and it's a goatee template.
Yeah.
And it's the Doctor Strange goatee. It's
I saw
so
that
funny.
and laughed. I saw it the second time I saw it.
Wait, so like he just like plasters it on. It's
So
fake.
it's like a
Or
No,
just-
it's like
guy.
it's a
that you put
template.
on
So
your
it's like a piece of
face.
plastic or whatever you put over your face,
Oh,
and
Then you cut
tape
everything outside of it. Yeah.
got it.
It's
Okay,
so funny. Yeah,
That's
next
pretty
time you
funny.
see it, watch for it. It's hilarious.
Great movie. Anyways, yeah, great movie. I could talk about it all day.
And I will say
I
this:
Great
loved it.
movie.
I've got a few problems with No Way Home. Like, there's a few questions that I have.
I'm going to kill
I
you.
know we've just been raving about it. I just want to throw out a couple of things there that I have questions about and wanted to bounce it off you. Number one, we saw that Venom got pulled as well, which is interesting because yay, now we get Venom. But really, the question I have that I'm just seeing continuity with is everybody that was pulled through were enemies that knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. That's why they were pulled.
Well, Electro actually did it, but that's a story for another time.
That's well, I mean, he did at the end when he was killing
I
him,
actually
didn't he?
thought about this. I thought about this, and here's the thing, because I've seen the movie 4 times, and I was thinking about this watching it the last 2. He just says that people were starting to get through because of all these people who knew Peter Parker was
Correct.
Spider-Man. I think the important thing to pay attention to is it's not so much about everybody who knows Peter Parker's Spider-Man showing up, but more that because it was crossing multiple universes, the spell, it started allowing things to pass through. Yeah, it essentially opened the doors.
I guess my question was they could either do something with that, or I just know that in the past in some comics that even like Venoms between multiverses have had like a hive mind thing going on, and I was going to accept that that's okay. The other big question I had about it was, and Jesse pointed this out later, and I've seen memes about it even too. Why did Doctor Strange not just make everybody forget that he spoiled his identity? Mysterio.
Well, I think they did a good job of explaining. Well,
I don't think they did a good job of explaining that. All they had to do was make them forget the battle that happened on the London Bridge, and that's it.
I've had this exact same conversation with my brother-in-law, and I'll just give it to you right now. If you just approach movies with the cinema
Sure.
sins thing, where you just look for all of the plot holes in it,
Won't be a good superhero movie.
like
I
unless
know.
you're, well, it's not even
Wouldn't
just
be a good
superhero
movie.
movies. It's just you won't enjoy things, period,
Right.
because you'll always be like, "Well, that was
I just
illogical.
wanted to
Why
throw
didn't
it
they do
out
that?"
there.
And it's like,
The
no,
one other small
because he's a
complaint.
teenager and he's an idiot.
Sure, but Doctor Strange is really what it comes down to. But anyways, my other point,
Well,
and we can
sure.
leave it at that. It's fine. The other thing I just wanted to throw out there is why the heck was it called No Way Home? Besides just trying to put the word home in there. At what point was he away from home? Exactly.
I don't know.
He's only in his apartment at the beginning of the movie, so
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like all I gotta say is I was expecting
Well,
him
maybe
to
it's
be
not about
hopping
him. Maybe it's not.
multiverses a little more. That's all.
it's about
Maybe
Aunt
it's
May not being able to go home.
Oof.
because she's dead. Rip.
She's home with her father now.
No, I was thinking more like maybe it's about the fact that he didn't want to send home the villains because they would
Again,
die.
it's not that there wasn't a way home, it's that they were postponing the way home. Just saying that, like, there was never,
True.
like, when I hear Spider-Man No Way Home, and we talk about multiverse and we talk about Doctor Strange, I'm like, oh, he's gonna get lost somewhere. He's gonna be hopping multiverses. He's gonna be involved with villains' places,
No,
and he
they're
needs to
doing
get
that.
his way back
It's
to
fine.
his original universe. I'm just saying that was a little lacking. That's all.
Dude. Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
Well, you can pick apart the title to almost
I know.
anything.
I was just gonna put it out there. There were a few
I
things
get it.
that we definitely want to see cleared up, but overall, like 11 out of 10, go see Spider-Man.
Yeah, it was good. It was great.
Yep.
It might have even been amazing. Uh, anyways, yeah. Anything else we want to talk about?
You expect me to like talk about anything after that terrible pun?
Hey, Tobey Maguire said it.
It was just dead. He's Spider-Man. He
It's a
can say
10.
it. Just dead silence after you
It
said
made me
that. I was
really
kinda
happy.
laughing.
I really liked that when he was like, "You're amazing," and I was like, "He's
How
from."
will I fight an alien?
Dude, that was the other thing that was really funny because
Their
hasn't
banter
seen
was incredible.
Jesse hasn't
their
seen
banter
it
wasn't.
either, so that whole banter was super funny.
Darley hasn't seen any Spider-Man movie that's not Tom Holland,
What?
Jesse hasn't either.
That doesn't surprise me, actually.
and so we were talking, and like I would lean over and like whisper stuff to her, but then like Maddie and Jeremy were there too. And Jeremy was wearing a onesie, which was amazing, like a Spider-Man onesie.
Okay, cool. Good clarification.
Yeah, it was really funny because they actually walked in late, so he walked in like as Daredevil was there, and I like watched him sit down, just go.
There's another one here.
Yeah. Anyways, what was I getting at? Oh, but there was a part
I'm something of a scientist myself.
when Andrew Garfield is talking about, he's like, I lost my MJ, Gwen. He was like, like I tried to save her, but I couldn't. And I leaned over to Darlie and I went, it was very sad.
Yeah.
And Maddie was just like, oh my gosh, like no duh, man. It's very sad when his girlfriend died in his
Okay.
arms.
I have to say, because you brought that up, I still think my absolute favorite scene in any Spider-Man movie is the very last scene in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. When like the rhino's there and that little kid goes out there and everyone's out that rhino's gonna kill that kid and then he just taps him on the shoulder. He's like, I got it from here, man. That is my favorite Spider-Man scene. Full stop.
That's probably the hottest take that anybody's said on this because I know people
It's
hated
like
that
one of the
scene.
most Spider-Man things I've ever
My favorite
seen.
scene is when Aunt May thought she had to have the talk with Tom at the beginning of No Way Home.
Oh well.
Ugh.
That was funny too, dude. Yeah, straight up, like at the beginning of that, I was like, he's ripped.
Yeah, what the heck?
Good for him.
I was
Ripped
like,
for
dude, good for that
Uncharted.
guy. Yeah, straight up. Yes.
Good for Zendaya for locking that thing up.
Dude, straight up. They're a hot couple.
Good for Tom being a short
Yeah.
king. And
Darlie showed me this picture the other
Dude,
day.
we're
and I was
spiraling
like,
so hard. We
No,
need
we
to end this
do.
podcast.
talked about Halo for
I
15
need to say
minutes.
this. Darlie showed me this meme the other day that was like, I hope that if Zendaya and Tom Holland get married, he takes her last name and just goes by
Yeah, I
Tom.
saw that. Super funny.
It's like, sorry,
no.
Tom.
That's so stupid.
It's so dumb, it just might work.
Oh, that's so dumb.
Okay, anyways, yeah, this was fun. So, as always, give us feedback, like and comment and subscribe,
Ring that
etc.
bell.
But like actually, like if you listen to this and you're like, this was hot garbage, like text me because I want to know why.
Throw it on the open
And
forum
then make
forum.
sure to dislike the video.
Yeah, hit us with the likes. Not that it'll matter because nobody will see it.
That's why I said it, because I love that everyone
Have you
keeps
seen
making
that
jokes
there's a
about that
Chrome
now.
extension to where you can... Yeah,
Yeah,
that
there is.
Installs it, yeah, that like
you just dislike it and it tells
I watched
you.
a whole like 15-minute YouTube video explaining how it worked and how it's not super accurate. Anyways, we're done.
No,
we need
do.
to end this.
We're at an hour and a minute, so it needs to be done. I lied. We're at an hour and 11
Okay.
minutes.
Yeah, we're like over that. So yeah, okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna do it right now. Goodbye,
Oh,
everybody. Thank you
really
for
quickly,
listening. We love all your
This is
faces.
the first one we've had in a while where we haven't had Dew. I just want you to know that I've been drinking Dew while we've been talking about this. So Dew is still here.
I have not.
Still here.
I have 2 dues locked and loaded for the next time we can do it in person. So
We should do
Okay,
soon.
bye.
Bye, guys.
bye.